Alright guys, I wasn't going to play too long tonight. I was trying to get that plucky thing back in a little better, but it honestly came out a little weird, so I don't know, we'll end it here. Tonight though was kind of a focus on getting breath control into the Matrixbrute. So in this case, the breath from the Pulp Logic is coming in via CV. And I can do kind of cool things like growling. And so, I guess if you don't know too much about the Matrixbrute here, it has two filters. One is the traditional Moog ladder filter, and the other is the Steiner filter, and so the multi-mode filter. And you can run them in either serial or parallel, so you can do kind of cool things. In this case, this kind of high resonant voice is actually just mainly from the ladder filter. And I think it sounds really good, and I'm piping in the breath CV into that cutoff frequency. And I have some other things kind of going in and resetting to kind of get that aliasing, steppy kind of sound with the mod wheel. Right, which I think sounds really cool. And then to kind of go over the sounds, I'm also playing well, shoot. It would seem that my Alright, well, you guys can't see my computer tonight. I think my device for capturing the DAW is not working. Right before I went in and went to stream, I realized that my audio wasn't coming in right, and I think it's because it's usually the default device, but then when I sometimes boot up, it grabs the HDMI out as the default out or input, and it was kind of being a little bit weird. Anyway, so I reset OBS like 1 minute before going live, which was not ideal, and sometimes the device can get a little funky, and I think if I try and reset it here live on stream, it'll kill it. So forgive me 1 second if you guys lose audio. I'm gonna try and reset it. Alright, I think we're back. Hey, and we have it this time. Alright. So Pigments is my kind of guitar-y, plucky guy going on. And I have to be a little careful because when I'm on the Linnstrument itself, I have to set it up between the Matrixbrute and the rest of the DAW. So the Matrixbrute takes the maximum pitch bend of only 12, a whole octave for up and down, right? And MPE compatibility is usually 48, right? So I kind of have to play a little bit to kind of get the Matrixbrute to play via the Linnstrument. And in that case, I have the MPE mode and then the normal mode. And so when I'm in normal mode, that gets routed over to the Matrixbrute. By normal mean, I mean one channel, right? And when I'm in NPE mode, I can get the nice polyphonic pitch bend stuff. So as we go into Pigments here, you can kind of see, well, my face is over top of it. Over on the right-hand side, underneath my face, I'm not going to move it right now, is the MPE settings for the track. And Pigments itself is set to MPE. And when we go into Pigments, and we go to the settings down here, you can see now that the note pitch bend range is 24, and that's just to kind of play with the fact that this guy's actually sending out 12, which is a little bit confusing, but because of the Linnstrument sending 48 into MPE and bitwig doing some weird stuff on the back end, it gets set there to make it work. Anyway, not a big deal, but it just means that when playing in Pigments, I had to change it from 48 down to 12, or in this case 24, to make it play right. And I also have to change the Linnstrument over from MPE mode to normal mode if I'm playing one single channel mode if I'm playing the Matrixbrute. Otherwise, when I go back over to Pigments, if I'm on single channel mode, it still plays right. But you can't have the aftertouch or the pitch bend stuff. Right? It just doesn't work. But if I go back over to MPE mode, right? So MPE works, right? And in this case, all right, so I have Pigments here. And it's getting fed into Guitar Rig. Without Guitar Rig, still sounds good, but I was looking for a little bit of differentiation. Kind of played around with some higher gain settings in Guitar Rig, but this is what I came up with. Right, and now we activate the Guitar Rig. Right, and then that's because it's Andy is Guitar Rig 7. Also, I'm sorry, I didn't say hi to you guys. Garen and Andy, and I think Da Vinci Girl just came in. Welcome to tonight. I was just kind of playing around with the Matrixbrute and wanted to live stream, so thanks for coming in. Yeah, so this is Guitar Rig 7, and this is a bass preset. Kind of slide guitarish, right? So anyway, I liked it. And then I had 2 layers of Matrixbrute, and the Matrixbrute was all playing the same patch that I had, which is the kind of vocally thing from the other night, but with breath control. right? And you can get some really weird crunchy stuff in there. So kind of crazy. Also, I don't have a good camera shot that can show the Linnstrument and the Polybrute together. I thought I'd be playing more on the keys here, which I can. Right, so it does work, but I was playing it with the Linnstrument, which I feel a little more better on for some of the runs and stuff. Let's see, as far as what you guys are saying, too much fantasy presets for my taste, not really a natural sound to put together. I think maybe you're talking about the Warm Universe. I think Warm Universe sounds really good on guitar. I can understand why it's Andy's go-to, I think. He says, Garen says he has guitar rig 6 and 7. They came with versions of complete. I'm not going to do updates. We'll see. Yeah, I think guitar rig is really interesting to bring in nice crunchy overdrive saturation stuff, and just going through, there's a lot of ideas in there to kind of add texture that I don't usually do, and I think it pairs really well, honestly, with just synthesizers in general, right? So in this case, Matrixbrute isn't using it, but I think he brings a lot, especially in the higher gain stuff, right? I don't know. I can sit here, especially if I'm playing more solo stuff with just like pigments. Setting pigments in the guitar rig 7 is just super fun, right? You can get some super crunchy electric guitar sounds that sound really, really good, I think. Or just a little bit of subtle warmth, which of course you can get with other presets or other VSTs as well. But I think guitar rig 7 is super nice, kind of like, I don't know, punching it in your favorite amp or whatever, right? Like everyone has their favorites or whatever, and I think it's nice. I understand why Garen likes making his own sounds. I think that that's a major thing that I enjoy as well. I think the sound design aspect, I can sit down and honestly just sit here and play with knobs for hours and not make anything productive, right? And I think maybe that's the lure for my your rack system is it's just sound design. You just sit there and mess around, right? But for guitar rig and stuff, I think it feels a little bit more like grabbing a guitar rig pedal and kind of dialing it in with only a couple little knobs, right? And I think that works for me. And then Myth I had. Sorry, my last one here, this purple guy here is Myth. Andy brings in a good question, right? Who cares, right? And for me, this is a big question for me of why do I care? And honestly, it's just, I like to have fun, right? And to me, I definitely play with presets and then modify them more than starting from scratch, and I find that enjoyable. But I see some people who go to presets first versus sound design from like a knit patches first as two separate camps. That I don't obviously have a Karen because I do it both ways, but it's interesting because I don't know. I think that Garen's, I don't know, not defense of it, but bringing it up that he likes the sound design aspect is just like a different part of the hobby, right? And there's definitely, you know, those of us who sit around and preset surf, and those of us who will sit here and go to a knit patch and mess around on a synth trying to get a good sound, and those are both great options because all we're doing is having fun, right? So yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Da Vinci Girl says you spend hours and it matched not with the sound I like to construct. Yeah, I think Da Vinci Girl is saying that she likes to mold it more for what she wants, I think. But like to me, like I've had this conversation with a lot of people before too, that I'm not one who produces a lot of music, right? Like I don't have an album out on Bandcamp. I don't go and make a lot of videos out there that are just pure music, right? I just come around and I fuck around and I record stuff, and it's super fun. And I think if you're trying to be productive, as in like make a large amount of songs, preset surfing can both be a benefit and a distraction, right? Like a benefit because you don't have to sit there and make your sounds from scratch, but also a detriment because maybe you get lost in preset surfing. But I mean, you can get lost in sound design as well, right? So it's all depend on what you find fun, right? Some of us really like just recording music and making albums, right? Like gosh, I'm drawing a blank on this guy that I follow on YouTube a lot, but he makes an absolutely insane amount of music every year, and he does it because he's having fun, right? But I mean, everybody has a different approach to music, and mine in general is just to sit down and have fun, and whether or not that's preset surfing or modifying presets or making it from scratch, I think it all works for different people. The end goal, though, should always be, in my opinion, to have as much fun as you can. So I don't know. Yeah, Andy, if you spend less time on sound design lately, like I don't blame you, right? Like I could sit here, and especially since I played like flute for so long and saxophones for so long, I could sit here and play hours on flute and saxophone and just practice my skills and different shapes and all that kind of stuff, and through all the different scales, and that might be really fun to me because it enables me to play something different, right? And others, that's not what they want to do, and I don't know. It's all about having fun, right? And then all of us will try and project like, well, if you're trying to do X, Y, or Z, then it doesn't, not the best use of your time. And we all are looking for the shortcuts and all this kind of stuff, right? And it's like, who cares about the shortcuts? Who cares about any of that, right? We're all just having fun. So if you're having fun by doing less time on sound design, or Garen is, having a lot of fun doing sound design, those are both completely valid approaches. And even if, I don't know, Garen isn't being super productive for sound design, as in like recording a bunch of songs with that sound design, who cares, right? And I think a lot of the synth tuber people out there get stuck on like, hey, here's the shortcut onto how to make your production better. Here's the the synth secret that'll change your life, and blah blah blah. And I think Andy, the video that you linked me, or that I found today after that reference of him being 37 today, I forget his name. NJ, something like that, right? Anyway, he was going on about quality over quantity, but quantity over quality, right? This kind of weird difference is that you need quantity to get quality, right? And again, it's like this whole mindset of his, of this quantity versus quality and getting quality and blah, 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 is all because his end goal is to make good music that people will buy, and he's being productive, right? And it's like, it's such a different mindset to people who are not looking to do that, right? Like, I'm not sitting here trying to hone my craft to make a good song so I can be a composer or a songwriter, right? I'm just out here having fun. J&J, thank you, Andy. So yeah, but their whole approach to their whole channel, or the whole philosophy they have over music and practice and production, and the secrets that will change your life and all this kind of stuff, it's half them trying to make content that will make us click, right, which is in itself fine, but it has to be content that we also find interesting, right? And a lot of us are looking for the next best thing that'll make our process easier and the production more efficient and blah blah blah. But it's like, in the end, I really don't care if I'm efficient. I really don't care if I'm wasting time or not, because I use hobby music time as a hobby, which for me is to have fun. And I think maybe that's probably the majority, I would say the gross majority of people who are in the synthesizer community, who are not synth tubers, are doing that, right? They have synthesizers that they collect and they play, but they play it to have fun. Maybe they gig every once in a while and meet up with people and play, but all of us are just sitting here having fun, and I think too many of them kind of are solving a problem that doesn't exist, which is how to be good producers and how to do all that. And it's like, I don't know, man, just sit in front of your synths and make good noises, because good noises are fun. Anyway, I'm not sure why I got stuck on this subject for today, but I don't know. I think it's always interesting. All right, Garen said there was one thought in that particular video that hadn't occurred to you, and you'll give it a try. Garen, which one was that? Like I said, I think that video was full of good information, right? And a lot of interesting things on both the Bose video and J&J's video. But it's so funny because all the people who are making these suggestions are all coming from a different place, right? They're all... Yeah, Andy, it's definitely the topic of the day. They're all coming from the place that they are, right? And I'm doing the exact same thing, right? I'm the hobby, and I'm saying, hey, there's a lot of us out here who have to take it this way because this is what we do, right? We have fun. And they're taking it from, oh, here's how you can get the widest sound of stereo. Look at this. Oh, man, it's so awesome. And it's like, cool. I don't know. Anyway, I was talking about Myth, which is just this nice resynthesized pad, kind of fluty overtones. Using the mod matrix as a pseudo morph control. See, Garen, I'm surprised by that actually, because the whole idea behind the Polybrute itself is that you have that morph fader guy on your side over there that you can morph between them, right? So. And morphing between the two controls is kind of like the whole point, right? And so maybe the mod matrix as a pseudo morph control is different for, I guess, applying that to different synthesizers, and I think maybe that's a good one, right? Because I think Jorb does bring that in as a good point, that depending on what synthesizer you're on, that would be the good solution. So many of our synthesizers, though, have good patch preset control. Anyway, I have to give props to Garen again for always leading me down rabbit holes of VSTs. My last year, Garen has cost me a little bit of money in VSTs, and I blame him, but it's all good things. In that regard, Myth from Dawson here is one of Garen's suggestions, and I'm really glad because the MPE stuff in it is super nice. Yeah, so Garen was saying using it particularly in other synths. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? And I think maybe changing that mindset. But it's funny, right? Because I guess my whole point is, while that might be a good trick for you, or a good thing to try and maybe is interesting, does it actually change anything for you, right? Like, maybe it'll make it a little more enjoyable to play on a certain synthesizer and change between the sounds and make you a little bit more efficient. But are you going to have more fun now that you're thinking about changing the Take 5 using the mod matrix? Right? Like, a lot of us get stuck in this idea that we need to, and I think he even mentioned this, right? That we got to learn, but you have to apply it. But the application also has to be towards your end goal. And if our end goal is to have fun, a lot of that is almost wasted, right? Anyway, my family is coming home from visiting some friends, so I'm gonna call it here. Didn't mean to get on a diatribe here over stuff, but it's all right. It is the topic of the day. And Andy, I know it's super late, so you should probably go to bed. Garen, thanks for stopping by. And I think there's a couple others who popped in, including some guy who is spamming, but that's all right. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys have a